Hello guys, welcome back to Chanda DIY. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to crochet an oversized cardigan. It is really simple and easy to make. It just made out of 4 panels and sewing them together. And for the stitch of this pattern, it's just 1 row repeat. It's friendly for beginners and for you guys that make bigger size than mine. In this tutorial, I also showing you how to make it bigger. Okay, now let's get started. First thing first, we are going to make the back panel, and this is the measurement of the back panel. For this pattern, we are start working from the ribbing panel, which is the edge of the cardigan. To begin, make a slip knot. Then make 12 chains. It is equal to 2.5 inches. If you guys want the ribbing part more longer, you can add more chains. So for this pink yarn, it is just a sample showing you how to crochet the stitches. So you just follow the description or the pattern that I show in this video. After you got 12 chains, and next we are going to make the ribbing stitch. I'm using half double crochet slip stitch. For row 1, skip 1 chain and make half double crochet slip stitch into the next chain. To make half double crochet slip stitch, yarn over, insert the hook into the loop, yarn over and pull up a loop, and now you have 3 loops on your hook. Then hold the second loop, which is the middle loop. Then pull the third loop into these 2 loops, and this is how we make half double crochet slip stitch. And next, keep repeating this by make half double crochet slip stitch into every chain until you reach the end of the row. Then I will meet you back again. And this is what the first row of the ribbing stitch looks like. Next, for row 2, chain 1. For chain 1, we don't count as a stitch. Then turn your work, and we are going to make half double crochet slip stitch, but into the back loop of the stitch only. Yarn over and insert the hook into the back loop of the stitch. Yarn over and pull up a loop, and now you have 3 loops on the hook. Then hold the middle loop and pull the third loop through these 2 loops. Don't forget to use stitch marker to mark at this first stitch to make sure that you don't miss this first stitch. Keep making half double crochet slip stitch back loop only into every stitch until you reach the end of the row. Then I will meet you back again. And this is what the second row looks like. For the next row, please keep repeating row 2 until you reach row 82. It is equal 20 inches length. Then we meet you back again. And after you have made the ribbing stitch until you got 82 rows, and this is what it looks like. If you guys want your cardigan more bigger, you can add more rows by repeat row 2, but make sure the number of the ribbing rows must be the even number. If you want an oversized cardigan, you have to make this back panel bigger than your body measurement. And next, we are going to make the second stitch pattern. It is a mock stitch but crocheted with front loop and back loop. After you got 82 rows or after you got your desired fit, next, continue from where your last stitch is. For row 1, chain 2. For the second chain, you have to make it a little bit loose. Then use stitch marker to mark at the second chain. It is count as a stitch. And after you have made 2 chains, then make single crochet into this big loop. To make single crochet, insert a hook into the loop, yarn over and pull up a loop. And now you have 2 loops on your hook, then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. After you have made a single crochet, then chain 1, skip 1 stitch or skip 1 row, and make single crochet into the next loop, which is this big loop. After you have made single crochet, as you can see, this V row here count as 1 row, and this down here count as the second row. It means that 1 row count as 1 stitch. So chain 1, skip 1 stitch and make single crochet into the next stitch. Keep repeating this until you reach the end of the row. Then we meet you back again. After you reach the end of the row, you must end with a single crochet stitch. And this is what the first row of the mock stitch looks like. And next, for row 2, chain 1. For this first chain 1, we don't count as a stitch. Then turn your work and add 1 more chain. For the second chain, you have to make it a little bit loose. Then don't forget to use stitch marker to mark at the second chain. It is count as a stitch. After you have made the second chain, then skip this single crochet stitch that near chain 2, and we are going to working the stitch into the next stitch, which is the chain 1 that we made at the previous row. We are going to make single crochet but into the back loop of the chain. You just pick one loop, which is the back loop of the chain, and then make single crochet. After you have made a single crochet, then chain 1, skip this single crochet stitch, and we are going to working the stitch into the next stitch, which is the chain 1 stitch, but we will working into the front loop only by insert the hook into the front loop of the chain. After you have made single crochet into the front loop of the chain, then we are going to keep repeating this by chain 1, skip 1 stitch, and make single crochet into the back loop only. Then chain 1, skip 1 stitch, and make single crochet into the front loop only. So you just make one single crochet into the back loop and one single crochet into the front loop. Keep repeating this until you reach the end of the row. After you reach the end of the row, you must end with single crochet front loop only. And this is what the second row of the moss stitch looks like. And for the next row, please keep repeating row 2 until you reach row 61. It is equal 23.5 inches length. Then I will meet you back again. And this is what it looks like after you reach row 61. If you guys want your cardigan more longer, please add more rows by repeat row 2. Then you just chain 1 and cut off the yarn. And next, we are going to make the front panel. For the front panel, we also repeat the same pattern like the back panel, just make it smaller. So first, make 12 chains for the ribbing stitch, then make 34 rows of the ribbing stitch. It is equal 8.5 inches width. After you got 34 rows of the ribbing stitch, then we are going to make the texture moss stitch. But repeat the same thing like the back panel. Repeat row 1 and row 2 until you reach row 61. It is the same row and the same length like the back panel. Then chain 1 and cut off the yarn, and don't forget to repeat the same thing to the other side. For the total width of both front panel is shorter than the width of the back panel because we have to keep the middle space, which is for the neckline. For the neckline space measurement, it is equal 3 inches. If you guys that make bigger size or you want the neckline more bigger, you can make the front panel more smaller. And for this middle space, it is where we are going to make the ribbing stitch and the buttonhole. And next, we are going to make the sleeves. For the sleeves, we also repeat the same thing like the back or the front panel, but it's just a little bit different at row 1 of the mock stitch. So first, we start with the ribbing panel, which is the wrist part. I make 10 chains, then make ribbing stitch for 26 rows. It is equal 7 inches width. Is the measurement around my wrist, as you can see. If you guys that make bigger size, you just add more rows until it fits around your wrist. And after you have made the ribbing panel, continue from where your last stitch is. For row 1, chain 2. Remember, for the second chain, it is count as 1 stitch, so you have to use stitch marker to mark it. After you have made the second chain, then make single crochet into this big loop that needs chain 2. After you have made single crochet, then chain 1, and we are not going to skip 1 row or 1 stitch. You just working the single crochet stitch into the next row. So for this first row, we want to make increase to make the arm panel more bigger than the wrist part. Then we are going to keep repeating this by chain 1 and make single crochet into the next stitch. Remember, for this first row, you don't have to skip any stitch. Just chain 1 and make single crochet into every stitch until the end of the row. Then I will meet you back again. And this is what it looks like after you reach the end of the row. As you can see, after we have made increase, which is we made single crochet into every stitch, the panel look expand at the top part, which is it will make the arm part bigger than the wrist. And for the next row, start from row 2 until row 46, you just make normal mock stitch by chain 1, turn your work and make 1 more chain, then skip single crochet stitch and make single crochet back loop only. Then chain 1, skip single crochet stitch and make single crochet front loop only. Keep repeating this until you reach row 46, then I will meet you back again. And this is what it looks like after you reach row 46. Then chain 1 and cut off the yarn. For the length of my sleeves, it is equal 18.5 inches. If you guys want your sleeve more longer, please add more rows by repeat row 2. And don't forget to repeat the same thing to the other sleeves. And next, we are going to attach the front panel with the back panel together. I'm using darning needle to sewing both parts together. Turn your work. Then attach the yarn into both corner loop and sewing both parts together by insert the needle into every stitch of both panel until you reach the end of the row of the front panel. Then I will meet you back again. And after you reach the end of the row of the front panel, then make a knot and cut off the yarn. And this is what the wrong side of the stitch looks like. Flip it and this is what the right side looks like. And next, please repeat the same thing to the other side. And now we are done. Attach both parts together. Then turn both parts like so. And next, we are going to attach the sleeve into the middle part of both panels. To begin, fold your sleeves into 2 pieces. Then use stitch marker to mark at the middle part of it. Then continue mark this middle part into the seam, which is where we're sewing both parts together, as you can see. And next, turn your cardigan like this. Then use the needle to sewing both parts together. And this is what it looks like after I have attached the sleeves into the body part. And next, fold your cardigan or your sleeves into 2 pieces like this, and sewing the edge of the cardigan until you reach the end of the row of the sleeves. Then I will meet you back again. And this is what it looks like after you have attached both sides edge together. And then don't forget to repeat the same thing to the other sleeves. And now the cardigan almost done. You just make the ribbing around the neckline and make the buttonhole. To begin, turn your cardigan right side out. And this is what the right side looks like. And next, we are going to make the ribbing stitch into the front part of the cardigan. Turn your top and we start from the bottom corner of the cardigan. To begin, attach the yarn into the corner stitch. Then chain 1 and make single crochet into the same loop with chain 1. Keep making single crochet into each loop until you reach the texture mustache, then I will meet you back again. After you reach the texture mustache, then just continue make single crochet into each big loop. It means that you have to make single crochet into each row of the mustache. Keep repeating this around until you reach the end of the row, which is the other corner. Then I will meet you back again. And this is what it looks like after I have made single crochet around the edge of the neckline. And next, continue from where your last stitch is, and we are going to make the ribbing stitch. First, make 7 chains. If you guys want the ribbing around the neckline more bigger, you can add more chains. After you got 7 chains, then for row 1, skip 1 chain and make half double crochet slip stitch into each chain until you reach the end of the row. Then I will meet you back again. After you reach the end of the row, and then we are going to attach this row into the cardigan by skip 1 stitch that we made the first row, then make slip stitch into the second stitch. To make slip stitch, continue insert the hook into the loop, yarn over and pull through all the loops. And this is what it looks like after we have attached this first row into the cardigan, and then continue make 1 more slip stitch into the next stitch. And after you have made 2 slip stitch, then for row 2, turn your work, skip 2 stitches that we made slip stitch, and we are going to make half double crochet slip stitch back loop only into every stitch until the end of the row. And this is what the second row looks like. Next, for row 3, chain 1, turn your work, and make half double crochet slip stitch back loop only into every stitch until you reach the end of the row. Then I will meet you back again. And after you reach the end of the row, Then continue make slip stitch into the next 2 stitches. And after you have made 2 slip stitch, and for the next row, you just keep repeating row 2 and row 3 by skip 2 stitches that we made slip stitch and make half double crochet slip stitch back loop only into every stitch until the end of the row. Keep repeating row 2 and row 3 until you reach row 5, then we meet you back again. And after you got 5 rows of the ribbing stitch, and next we are going to make the buttonhole. And after you have made 2 slip stitch, then for row 6 turn your work, skip 2 stitches, then make half double crochet slip stitch back loop only. After you have made 1 stitch, then chain 2, skip 2 stitches and make half double crochet slip stitch back loop only into every stitch until the end of the row. And this is what the buttonhole looks like. Next, for row 7, chain 1, turn your work, then make half double crochet slip stitch back loop only into each stitch and each chain until you reach the end of the row, then make slip stitch into the next 2 stitches. And after you have made 2 slip stitch, for the next row, you just keep repeating row 2 and row 3 until you reach row 13, then I will meet you back again. And after you reach row 13, then we are going to make the buttonhole again by repeat like row 6 and row 7. And this is what the buttonholes looks like. You just keep repeating this until you got 4 buttonholes. Then we meet you back again. And after you got 4 buttonholes, then you just continue make normal ribbing stitch by repeat row 2 and row 3 around the neckline until you reach the end of the row. Then chain 1 and cut off the yarn. And next, you're just sewing the button into the side that doesn't have the buttonholes. Then weave in all the ends into the wrong side of the cardigan, and now you are done. And this is what the whole cardigan looks like. I hope you guys love this tutorial. If so, please don't forget to click like and leave a positive comment down below. Subscribe to my channel if you are new here. And don't forget to follow me on my social medias. See you guys in the next tutorial. Bye bye.